A baby is safely home with her parents tonight after going missing early this morning. How she was reunited with her family and why police are now conducting a search warrant at a nearby property.
Stress release with a focus on the community. Just what the doctor ordered for these tough times, and a local woman is driving the effort.
Calling all pet lovers why now is the best time to adopt a dog or cat and why you should not wait too long.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5, streaming now.
A terrifying ordeal for a local family, one that fortunately ended on a happy note. Thanks for joining us here at 5 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. A 6-month-old baby girl is safely home with her parents tonight after she went missing from a gas station early this morning. But the case is still unfolding at this hour at a local house on the west side.
Let's get right to WRTV's Alyssa Donovan to find out what is going on. Alyssa.
Good afternoon. Yeah, that missing truck was discovered just around the corner from this property here on the west side of Indianapolis. And I'll show you behind me. That led police to a home here on Raymond Street. They are now conducting a search warrant on this house relating to the truck theft and kidnapping. That child now safe with their parents tonight. This all started early this morning, about 12 miles from here in Plainfield at the BP Get-Go gas station at the corner of State Route 267 and Hadley Road. That's where police say around 6:30 this morning, a man reported his truck was stolen with his baby girl sleeping in the back seat. Plainfield police say the man tried to use his Apple Pay at the pump to pay for gas, and when it didn't work, he ran inside the station. That's when the suspect jumped into the white Silverado and drove away. The ordeal shared all over Facebook by people concerned about the child. That's where Danielle Massing heard of the kidnapping, and then she looked out her window and saw that white Silverado pickup truck parked on the side of the road.
And I walked behind the truck. The windows were rolled up. They were tinted, so I couldn't tell if anyone was in there. And I read the license plate, checked my phone from the news, and it matched.
Massing quickly called police, who arrived in minutes and recovered the baby unharmed from the back seat. 6-month-old Kinsley was reunited with her parents shortly after. And at this hour, police are still conducting this search warrant on this home. And we just saw another pickup, or rather tow truck, pulling up to that house. We're told that several stolen vehicles have been found on the property so far. And they told us they'll have an update in the next couple days, as this could take a while to investigate. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
We're just glad that baby is safe tonight. Thank you, Alyssa. Metro Police are looking for suspects in the city's latest homicide tonight. This happened overnight on the west side of Indianapolis. Police were called around 1:30 this morning to an area near North High School Road and West 30th Street. Officers say a woman died at the scene. A man with gunshot wounds was taken to the hospital in critical condition.
Now to our continuing coverage of the coronavirus and its impact on Indiana. The state health department reports 6 more deaths from the coronavirus. 3,253 Hoosiers have now died with COVID-19. More than 108,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 1.7 million people have been tested in Indiana, with 6.6% testing positive. And in the midst of the pandemic, tonight a Hoosier native is sharing her story about giving back to her community. She created a resource specifically for Black Indigenous women of color to help them release the stress and trauma they are facing as the pandemic continues and racial tensions remain high. Our Nicole Griffin has her story.
I would just sit in a puddle of tears, just feeling just a sense of hopelessness for the Black community.
In April, as she was quarantined at home with her family, life coach and entrepreneur Katara McCarty felt a need to do something to help.
In the midst of everything that was going on with COVID and how it was impacting the Black community disproportionately, and then all the viral videos started hitting our news feeds, it just felt so heavy for my community.
Grief, pain, fear, all feelings she felt as well. As the pandemic continued on and the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor made headlines, she decided to create an emotional well-being app called Exhale, specifically for women of color.
We have the regular stressors that everybody else has, but it's compounded when we go out into the world and face racism, we face anti-Blackness, we face microaggressions. And so the meditations speak directly to us and our needs.
During quarantine, McCarty and her daughters worked on the app together. Their voices can be heard throughout during coaching talks and breathing exercises.
Feel the gentle pull of gravity.
She says finally releasing the app feels like a full circle moment because in her eyes, she's giving back to women of color.
I was abandoned and two Black women took me in and raised me. It feels very divine. It feels very much like I'm giving back to the women that gave to me.
Whether a woman takes time to meditate using the Exhale app or just 15 minutes to go through breathing exercises, McCarty hopes it helps them release pain and trauma they face during everyday life.
The impact of the microaggressions, the impact of the racism, the impact of watching our news feed and seeing someone get murdered, right, by the hands of the police, like that is traumatic in itself. And so my hope is that Exhale becomes a resource for Black, Indigenous women of color to manage all of that we're holding, really holding our breath. I want us to exhale.
Working for you, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
Right now, all of the features on the Exhale app are free until the end of the month. McCarty made the decision to open it for free after watching an interview with Jacob Blake's mother and sister and seeing the pain and trauma they are facing. Kyle.
Nice day here across central Indiana, but we are a little bit of a state divided with those temperatures. We've got some cool 60s to the north right now. Peru, Tipton at 69 degrees, while we've got some warmer 80s around Bloomington and Bedford at 82, 76 right now in Indy. It's all courtesy of a cold front that has moved through the area. Now we've got that northeast breeze around 15 miles per hour for us. Unfortunately, with that front, no rainfall here in central Indiana. You can see, though, a lot of moisture out across the Carolinas, portions of Virginia, the remnants of Sally. We're not going to get any of that. We'll keep those skies partly cloudy this evening. Temperatures in the mid-60s. We'll talk about a chilly night ahead in a few minutes.
IU officials hope student athletes will take action on Election Day by not taking action. The athletic department reminds student athletes November 3rd will be a mandatory off day for all sporting events. It is part of the department's effort to encourage student athletes to vote. IU actually made the decision in June, but since then, the idea has gained momentum. Just this week, the NCAA approved legislation making this an annual rule.
Indianapolis Animal Care Services hope that you will fall in love with a shelter animal during a special adoption promotion. The shelter is really close to having all of its dog kennels full, and they're already out of cat space. So for the next 10 days, all adoptions are free as part of the Fall in Love promotion. It starts today and will end on September 26th. The event will feature special pumpkin patches to showcase available dogs. Cats will also be featured throughout the event around the shelter.
Animals are amazing emotional support. They're amazing companions. You may have a void in your life that you don't even know you have until you walk in and meet the one that's perfect for you. And the adoption's free.
The adoptions are available by appointment only, except on Wednesdays when the shelter has walk-up hours. Indy Parks has just unveiled progress on the new play space at SANDORF Park on the south side. In 2018, the park was selected for a massive makeover, but during prep work, crews found industrial sand and a potential environmental hazard in that. The project was put on hold until the issue was dealt with. Work resumed in March of this year and will continue through the fall. Some of the new features of the newly redesigned park will include the state's first multi-use game area, more green space, and a family shelter. The park will reopen to the public in December.
Still ahead on WRTV, the U.S. Attorney General under fire. His remarks about the Black Lives Matter movement and coronavirus have many people shaking their heads. We'll tell you if he's backing down or standing ground.
President Trump denying his own health experts his timeline for a COVID-19 vaccine does not match with the CDC. And some experts worry this could lead Americans into a false sense of ease.
And you might need that jacket this week over the next 7 days, but don't put the shorts away either. We're going to detail a cool down and a warm up in the 7-day planning forecast. You're watching WRTV News at 5.
Attorney General William Barr is facing backlash for controversial comments he's made on various platforms recently.
In the past few days, expressing disdain for Black Lives Matter protesters, comparing the coronavirus lockdown to slavery, and warning that he thinks what could happen if Joe Biden wins the presidential election.
ABC's Rena Roy has the latest on the Attorney General's remarks.
The nation's top law enforcement official is under fire after comparing calls for a federal coronavirus lockdown to slavery at an event hosted by Hillsdale College Wednesday night.
A national lockdown, stay-at-home orders is like house arrest. It's other than slavery, which was a different kind of restraint, this is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties in American history.
Attorney General Barr proceeded to walk deeper into the culture wars unfolding across America, expressing contempt for Black Lives Matter protesters, accusing leaders of the movement of using the dead like George Floyd and others as political props. In recent months, Barr has been accused of showing political favoritism in cases related to President Trump, including easing the sentencing recommendations for Roger Stone and seeking to drop the criminal case against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, despite him pleading guilty twice. But Barr declaring he's in charge. What exactly am I interfering with? Under the law, all prosecutorial power is invested in the Attorney General. He took a shot at career prosecutors in the Justice Department, some who have spoken out against him, saying letting the most junior members set the agenda might be a good philosophy for Montessori preschool, but it's no way to run a federal agency. He also asserted his authority over the FBI, claiming he's told them, quote, "Whose agents do you think you are?" adding these people are agents of the Attorney General. Today, responding to a question during a congressional hearing on who the agents work for, FBI Director Christopher Wray responded bluntly.
We, the FBI, work for the American people.
As for Barr's stance on protests, his message to demonstrators is simple: law and order. ABC News confirming he raised the possibility of charging rioters with sedition, which means inciting a rebellion against the federal government. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And there's more mixed messaging coming from the Trump administration as the nation approaches 200,000 deaths from COVID-19. President Trump is bluntly contradicting his own CDC director on when a vaccine will be widely available for the American public. The president insists it could be as soon as next month, but Director Robert Redfield testified on Capitol Hill under oath that a vaccine would not be ready for most Americans until the middle of next year. President Trump is also taking issue with Redfield's views on the effectiveness of masks.
I might even go so far as to say that this face mask is more guaranteed to protect me against COVID than when I take a COVID vaccine.
It's not more effective by any means than a vaccine. And I believe that if you ask him, he would probably say that he didn't understand the question.
And overnight, more confusion. A CDC spokesman issued a statement saying Dr. Redfield did indeed misunderstand the question, but then 40 minutes later, the spokesman retracted that statement. Earlier this month, Dr. Anthony Fauci said he worries about how vaccine science is being communicated to the public. He says terms like warp speed might suggest things are being rushed. A recent poll found only 60% of Americans said they'd be willing to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was made available.
A group of anti-mask protesters marched through a Target store in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, urging startled shoppers to remove their face coverings. They marched through aisles of the department store shouting, "Take your masks off," at customers. Florida has seen a spike of coronavirus cases during the summer, according to Johns Hopkins University, with more than 670,000 people infected. Nearly 13,000 people have died because of COVID-19 in Florida. There's more information about what led to one of the major coronavirus vaccine trials to be put on hold. According to internal safety reports from vaccine maker AstraZeneca, the 37-year-old British woman who suffered neurological complications was given a confirmed diagnosis of transverse myelitis after getting a second dose of the vaccine. This is a rare condition which involves an inflammation of the spinal cord. The vaccine recipient had trouble walking, as well as symptoms of weakness and pain in her arms. The patient's condition does appear to be getting better. Vaccine trials Trials have resumed in the UK and are expected to restart in the U.S. soon. However, vaccine researchers are being asked to be on the lookout for any similar symptoms going forward. More fallout from the pandemic. Some cruise lovers will have to wait a little longer before they can set sail again. Carnival Cruise Line says it will cancel all voyages until early next year. Carnival says Caribbean cruises are canceled until the end of January, and other voyages are canceled into the spring. All affected guests will receive a credit or a refund. Carnival also announced plans to sell 18 ships, 20% of its fleet.
Well, we've got some calm waterways here across central Indiana and some very nice weather, and some fishermen out there enjoying it today on Eagle Creek. Had a little bit of a breeze develop this afternoon, but as we go into the day tomorrow, things should calm down just a little bit. Temperature-wise, yeah, we got that cold front that's moving through. You still have some mild 80s, though, around Bloomington and Columbus, while you're in the upper 60s in Peru. And as we look around the metro area, we do see that temperature spread. 70 for you right now in Zionsville, 72 in Castleton, while Edinburgh, it's still in the upper 70s there around the Outlet Mall. Not a bad day to do some shopping out there this evening and maybe getting ready for that fall and winter wardrobe, because we do have some temperature changes that are coming our way here. We will stair-step our way this evening through the 70s, 60s, 50s, and we won't stop there. Most spots will get down into the 40s by tomorrow morning, so you might need the jacket there already. 47 in Muncie and Richmond, about 49 in the city, and right around 50 degrees in the Bloomington and Columbus areas. Again, that's going to be with clear skies. The sunshine is back tomorrow. But tomorrow we're going to see more uniform temperatures on the cooler side here, only around 60 degrees at noon, and we'll see those afternoon highs upper 60s to around 70 degrees. So numbers are going to be about 10 to 15 degrees below average for this time of year. 63 will be your top number for your Friday in Marion, 67 in Lafayette. Numbers in the mid to upper 60s here along I-70 and upper 60s there for you, Seymour and Columbus. So I don't think we're really going to see any 70s tomorrow, and it'll be a little bit here. We got some cool air that's going to last into the start of the weekend, and most of the days here in early next week are at or below average, and there's that average high of 77. So if you are going to be heading out for some football games tomorrow evening, want to dress a little warmer, maybe take the hoodie along there. We got temperatures in the upper 50s already at 8 o'clock, middle 50s by 10. Checking out that 7-day planning forecast now as we put it all together. Look at all the sunshine coming our way. We're actually not expecting any additional rainfall here as we go through the next 7 days. Temperatures do start to rebound a little bit, though. We'll get those highs around 80 by the middle of next week.
It's a normal part of life felt by everyone regardless of age, but stress may look different in children, especially because of school this particular year. Up next, the signs to look out for and how you can help your child cope.
In an election year full of political books, the long-awaited one now has a release date. Former President Barack Obama's memoir titled A Promised Land gets its unveiling on November 17th. In a tweet this morning, Mr. Obama said there's no feeling like finishing a book. He goes on to say he tries to give a, quote, honest accounting of his presidency and how Americans can make democracy work for everybody. Obama covers his early political career through his first election and early Oval Office years. It finishes with the operation that killed Osama bin Laden. This book represents the first of 2 volumes of memoirs and follows his wife's book that was a bestseller in 2018. The Obamas were reportedly paid a $65 million advance for their memoirs. School can be stressful for students in a normal year, but add in a pandemic, and it's even worse. Experts say signs of school-related stress in children can include an attempt to avoid school or procrastinate. Some may have physical complaints like a stomach ache or headache with no known medical cause, but tend to come near school time. There can also be distinct changes in mood or behavior. Some may be irritable, others may cry, or you may see a difference in eating or sleeping patterns. If you see these signs, get to the root of the stress by asking open-ended questions.
Instead of saying something like, is school making you anxious or stressed? Asking them, how do you feel about school? Or how are you feeling about it? And really giving them a chance to guide the conversation.
Then you can work with your child on problem solving and help them to think critically about how to fix the situation. Once they're calm, it's a good time to teach coping skills. Experts say it is also important to have your child keep up with healthy habits. Getting enough sleep, eating right, staying hydrated, and keeping active can also help ease stress. A man in Ohio came up with an idea to keep trick-or-treating safe this Halloween, a candy chute. Andrew Beatty shared this video of his creation. He made his 6-foot-long chute from materials around his house in Cincinnati. Beatty said he plans to attach it to his handrail. On Halloween night, he says he will wear a mask and gloves to drop candy down the chute for trick-or-treaters on the other side. Beatty encourages those wanting to pass out treats on Halloween to give making their own candy chute a try. He hopes it will keep the holiday tradition alive. Tonight at 6 p.m., transitioning into adulthood is hard for everybody, but it can be especially scary for young people in the foster care system as they approach 18. The service is available so older foster kids can continue to lead good lives after their 18th birthday. And still to come at 5:30, we've told you how farmers are worried about a planned solar farm in Shelby County. Now hear from commissioners who will decide the future of this project.